We're walking through an ordinary Swiss mountain forest. What you can see are the military fortifications built into these rocks and hills. This is the Sufers Defense Line, a network of bunkers and weapon positions that protected one of Switzerland's key Alpine passes. In my last video we explored the artillery fortress of Crestawald, built inside a mountain just on the other side of the valley. Today we're looking at the defensive positions that protected it. Bunkers and weapon emplacements designed to stop attackers before they could reach the main fortress. We're looking at the Geissrücken Pass route, an important Alpine crossing from Italy into Switzerland. For any military force approaching from the south, this valley provided one of the main access routes. The Swiss military planners recognized its strategic importance. The defense worked in layers. First, these forward positions would engage and slow down attackers. Then, Crestawald's artillery could target them from protected positions. It's a well-planned defensive system. And exactly these forward positions are the bunkers that we're going to explore in today's video. These fortifications were built between 1938 and 41, as Switzerland watched Germany expand across Europe. While other countries prepared for offensive warfare, Switzerland chose a different strategy, making invasion so costly that it wouldn't be worth attempting. The Swiss called this the Redoubt National, or the National Redoubt. Retreat to the Alpine heartland and turn every valley into a fortress. The idea was simple: if you can't prevent invasion, make it economically impossible. Trade territory for time, then make the occupier pay for every mile. The National Redoubt plan meant giving up the open lowlands, shown in red, industrial hubs and cities alike. Troops and supplies would fall back into the blue-marked Alps, the natural fortress of cliffs and tunnels. There, the Swiss forces vowed to bitterly defend every pass and valley, making any invader pay dearly for each step. It was a strategy of calculated sacrifice: abandon the plains, but hold the mountains at all costs. Today you'll see Switzerland's camouflage military bunkers and understand how they integrate defensive positions into the natural landscape. You'll also learn why military historians consider this an effective example of small unit defensive planning. But first, we're heading back to where it all began, the forward position observation posts carved directly into the mountainside. We're approaching what was once Geissrücken East, a machine gun cavern that controlled the entire valley approach. The original fortress was recently demolished during the renovation of the Crestawald bridge and the widening of the A13 motorway, but its supporting structures remain. This gives us a perfect opportunity to understand the terrain that made these positions so effective. Look at this natural shooting gallery. Any vehicle or infantry formation coming up this valley would be completely exposed. What made this defensive system effective wasn't just the artillery we saw at Crestawald, which is, by the way, just on the other side of the valley, a few hundred meters apart. It was the machine gun positions and anti-tank guns positioned throughout this valley. The Swiss military called this Gegenfestung, counter-fortress strategy. We approach at what once was Geissrücken East position, which has been demolished due to the widening of the A13 motorway. But on the other hand, if we switch on Google Street View, we can clearly see what remains in this rock. It's these bricked up entrances or gun embrasures or whatever this once was. Well, yeah, that's all that remains of Geissrücken East, and I didn't want to go too close to the motorway just because of reasons. The Swiss army positioned these counter-fortresses using a simple principle: interlocking fields of fire. No matter where an attacker moved, at least two weapons could engage them simultaneously. Here's what survived: the troops' accommodation. This is a basic shelter carved directly from the rock's face. This is where soldiers from the Geissrücken East garrison would have stayed during alert periods. It's a simple functional space, just carved rock providing basic shelter. These weren't comfortable quarters, but they served their purpose for the 12-man garrison that operated the now demolished machine gun position. Swiss military used citizen militia rather than career soldiers. These were local men, farmers, shopkeepers, craftsmen, who knew this terrain intimately because they lived here. They would have used shelters like this during military exercises and alert periods. This alpine environment presents unique military challenges. Winter snow could block access routes for months, while spring melts might flood lower positions. The Swiss designed these bunkers to function year-round, with heating systems for winter operations, drainage for spring floods, and ventilation for summer heat. They had to plan for an invasion that could come in any season under any weather conditions. Soon you're seeing Swiss camouflage techniques in action. That structure ahead looks like an ordinary mountain shed, but it's actually the entrance to a fortified position. Geissrücken West housed one 9cm anti-tank gun and two machine guns. From this position, the garrison could control the entire valley floor. The camouflaged entrance is designed to blend completely with typical Alpine farm buildings. We're walking around to see what's left of Geissrücken West. In case you're wondering, this building you can see here doesn't have anything to do with the fortress system. As much as I've heard, it's connected to the dam nearby. You can see the ventilation shaft of the fortress and a little bit uphill the disguised firing ports. These installations were built to withstand extended combat while remaining hidden from aerial reconnaissance. The anti-tank gun could engage armor at over 1,000 meters. The machine guns provided interlocking fields of fire with other positions throughout the valley. From this single position, a small garrison could effectively control the main approach route. The firing ports are precisely angled to provide maximum coverage while minimizing the target profile for return fire. But here's something interesting. When these bunkers were built in 1938, there was no lake here. The Sufers Dam wasn't constructed until the 1960s, completely altering the tactical situation. But here's what's remarkable. Even with this massive geographic change, the defensive positions remained effective. The Swiss had built these fortresses with such strategic depth that they could adapt to changing terrain. An elderly gentleman in the village nearby told me that this bunker hasn't been opened in years and is rotting. We're entering what appears to be a typical Swiss Alpine village. Neat houses, traditional architecture, peaceful mountain setting. But during World War II, this entire village was effectively a forward military base. The residents lived alongside secret fortifications. Children played near soldiers, farmers tended livestock next to camouflage machine gun positions. It's the ultimate example of Switzerland's nations in arms concept. And now you're seeing Swiss military camouflage at its best. Those buildings ahead look like traditional Alpine barns and stables. They're actually reinforced concrete bunkers disguised as farm structures. This is bunker A7838, designed for a 16-man garrison with 2 machine guns and 1 anti-tank gun, plus a separate observation post. The camouflage isn't just paint, these are structurally designed to look like functional farm buildings. Swiss military camouflage wasn't about hiding in forests, it was about hiding in civilization. The goal was to make military positions indistinguishable from everyday Alpine life. Observation posts became barns, machine gun nests became storage sheds, communication centers became farmhouses. An invading army would face fire from buildings they assumed were civilian. These weren't isolated bunkers, they were nodes in an integrated defensive network. Radio communication linked every position. Pre-planned artillery coordinates covered every approach. Ammunition supplies were positioned for extended combat. If one position fell, others could provide covering fire for evacuation. The Swiss had turned military. Just look at these details. Firing ports that appear to be wooden doors, reinforced concrete walls textured to resemble traditional construction, steel doors hidden behind authentic-looking barn facades. Bunker A7838 represents the pinnacle of Swiss camouflage doctrine. Built in 1938, right at the beginning of the fortification program, this position shows how seriously the Swiss took defensive deception. The structure isn't just painted to look like a barn, it's architecturally designed as one. The roof angles, the wood siding, even the door placements all match traditional Alpine construction. Only the firing ports give it away, and even those are disguised as wooden doors. What makes A7838 particularly sophisticated is its dual bunker system with underground connections. From the outside, you're looking at what appears to be separate farm buildings, maybe a barn and a storage shed. But on the ground, they're linked by passages that allow the 16-man garrison to move between positions without exposure. Even today, if you drive past on the A13 motorway, you can see these buildings clearly, but you'd never distinguish them from the other village barns. That's exactly what the designers intended. In a moment, you'll see the second structure, the observation bunker, up close, and you'll understand just how convincing this camouflage really is. Defenders could fire from multiple angles, creating the impression of a larger force. An attacking unit might suppress one firing position, only to immediately take fire from another building they thought was civilian. From A7838's position, the garrison could coordinate with both the Geissrücken positions above and the Crestawald fortress behind. The two machine guns provided interlocking fire across the valley floor, while the 9 cm anti-tank gun, that's about 3.5 inches, could engage armored vehicles at ranges exceeding 1,000 meters, over half a mile. The separate observation post gave the garrison eyes on approaches from multiple directions. This wasn't just a defensive position, it was a command and control node that could direct fire from multiple installations across the valley. One bunker disguised as a barn, controlling a network of defensive positions. From above, the deception becomes even clearer. You're looking at what appears to be a typical Alpine farmstead. Main building, outbuildings, traditional layout. These positions weren't manned by professional soldiers. They were operated by ordinary Swiss citizens in uniform, farmers, shopkeepers, teachers, who became part-time warriors. Men who knew every rock, every path, every hiding place, because this was their homeland. It's defensive warfare at its most personal level. The construction quality of A7838 reveals Swiss engineering standards. The concrete walls are over 1 meter thick, that's more than 3 feet, in critical areas reinforced to withstand direct artillery hits. The camouflage exterior isn't just cosmetic, it's structurally integrated with the wooden barn facade actually attached to the concrete shell through specialized mounting systems. The firing ports are equipped with steel shutters that could be closed between engagements, making the building appear completely inactive. Even the observation post here, positioned separately with its own camouflage, was connected by underground communication lines, allowing coordination without visible signal equipment that might give away the position. From what you can see of the exterior construction, these bunkers represent advanced military engineering for their time. They're not simple concrete boxes, they're carefully designed fighting positions that balance protection, concealment, and tactical effectiveness. The Swiss invested heavily in these defensive positions because they understood that strong fortifications were most cost-effective than rebuilding after an invasion. There's absolutely no bunker in this shot. What we've discovered today represents something unique in military history. A small nation that chose to make invasions so costly that it became impossible. This wasn't about winning battles, it was about making war economically unthinkable. The Sufers Defense Line was part of Switzerland's national redoubt strategy. Channel attackers into killing zones, make every mile of advance cost more than conquest was worth, turn the entire country into an indigestible military obstacle. For American or British viewers, think about this differently than D-Day or Pacific Island campaigns. This wasn't about territorial conquest, it was about making neutrality militarily credible. Switzerland proved that smart defense could deter superpowers. Today, these fortifications are protected as national monuments. They represent not just military engineering, but Swiss cultural identity. The idea that freedom requires preparation, that peace demands strength. Military historians from NATO countries study these positions because they demonstrate principles that remain relevant, how geographic knowledge, technical innovation, and social commitment can multiply defensive effectiveness. The Sufas positions never fired a shot in anger. Their success was measured not by enemies destroyed, but by invasions deterred. They're monuments to the military effectiveness of defensive preparation. We've discovered one of Europe's most sophisticated small unit defense systems, hidden in plain sight in Alpine Valley. These positions, combined with the Crestawald artillery fortress we explored in the last video, created an integrated defense that made invasion impossible. The Splügen Pass has been a strategic corridor for over 2,000 years. Roman legions marched through this valley, medieval traders transported goods along these paths, and for centuries this was one of Europe's most important north-south connections. The Swiss weren't the first to recognize the military importance of this route. They were just the most thorough in defending it. Today you can hike in the area, following the same ancient trade route that Romans, merchants and armies used for millennia. The trail passes right by these fortifications, though most hikers never realize what they are walking past. Those barns aren't just barns. Those rocks faces hide more than ancient history. If you want to see how this defense system worked as a whole, check out my exploration of the Crestawald artillery fortress, the massive underground gun battery these bunkers were protecting. If you enjoyed discovering Switzerland's hidden military secrets, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I'm exploring more Alpine fortresses, underground installations, and the incredible engineering hidden in these mountains. Let me know in the comments what other hidden military sites should I explore next. I read every comment. Have a wonderful week and see you.